Hello everyone, today we're doing a Pixar tier list. I'm not doing a ranking because I felt like doing this instead because this is easier to do. So yeah, and don't ask for the next Disney ranking video is because I don't feel like doing it. Anyway, this is the Pixar films, all of them from 1995 to 2020. I now will be ranking them based on quality. S to F tier, they're a bad film, they're F tier, they're a great film, they're an S tier. You know what these mean, so let's go into the ranking. Starting with the first one, I'm actually having them in chronological order here, so I can choose and pick. We got Toy Story from 1995, the first ever CGI computer animated film. And obviously, this film is going to the S tier. This is a great film. I probably one of my most watched films. It's pretty short, so that's probably why I watch it a lot. It's a great characters, great story, very unique. There's been, like I said, there's been a lot of stuff with toys that come to life, but never in the most this way. This is the most clever and probably the best version of this story line ever told. And a lot of people ripped it off, including Illuminations. I don't need to say much about Toy Story. It's a great film. I feel like everyone's seen it. Everyone knows it's great. Everyone loves it. I love it. You love it. We all love it. So that's Toy Story. Their first film is Knockout. We got Bugs Life next. This is a film no one talks about for a reason because it's a D tier. Or, yeah, the C tier. It's not good. The animation doesn't look that well. It doesn't look like appealing like Toy Story, which technically has actually I think no Toy Story has better animation. Bugs Life just doesn't look good at all. Toy Story is aged better than Bugs Life, which is sad. This came out in '98. This came out in '95. Don't know what they were thinking. The storyline is kind of weird, and the characters are kind of weak. There are some good scenes, but overall, it's not a film I'd watch again. I watched it in my childhood. I didn't care for it then. I don't care for it now. I don't think anyone else is going to be upset when I say I don't care for Bugs Life because it's not that well-loved Pixar film, unlike the other ones. Here we got Toy Story 2, which is going into the S tier, right next to Toy Story. Now, technically, I have them kind of tied, but not really. I think Toy Story 1 is a bit better. Toy Story 2 is almost on the same level as Toy Story. It improves on a lot of stuff. I just enjoy Toy Story 1 more. I don't understand why some people like Toy Story 2 more, but I'm not one of those people. It expands the plot. The characters are just as good as they were. They're not out of character. They expand upon them, and it adds a lot more tough decisions for the characters to deal with, and more locations, more characters. It's everything you want out of a sequel. It's great. Everyone knows it's great though, so I don't need to say much about Toy Story 2. So there you go. Next we have Monsters Inc. This film is great, so it's going into the F tier. Just kidding, it's going to the S tier. Monsters Inc. is a great film, and it definitely was the show that Pixar can make a great film that doesn't have to deal with Toy Story. Was their fourth film. This didn't win the Best Academy Award for first ever animated picture because Shrek won that, but I honestly think Monsters Inc. should have won, even though I do like Shrek quite a bit. And not for the memes. I actually generally like the first two Shrek films. Anyway, this off topic. This is Pixar, not DreamWorks. Monsters Inc. is a great story. I think a lot of people like this film. I mean, they made another film off of it, so of course everyone likes it. I like the monster design. I like the monster world. I think the plot's very heartwarming, and they got some more great Pixar characters. It's none of those Pixar great films that I think everyone's watches, and if you haven't watched it, think what the hell are you doing in your life? Finding Nemo is a film that's technically pretty good, but it didn't emotionally touch me like the other films, even though I could see why other people do. This is a film that I just don't have that much attachment to. I saw it quite a bit as a kid. I think one of the reasons why is because a lot of people overhyped this one as the best film when I don't think it was as good as some of the other Pixar films. Even though I do think it's a really good film, it doesn't touch me. And it's an S tier film in order for it to be that. It has to be a film that emotionally gripped me. Which Finding Nemo, it's good. It almost gets there, but not quite. Next, we have the best film ever made, The Incredibles. That's not a joke. I think Incredibles is grab it, grab it. Was my favorite film as a kid, and it's my favorite film as an adult. It is one of the best written, best acted movies of all time. It's amazing. I love it so much. It's my all-time favorite film. I mean, some of the best characters of all time. One of the most interesting and a very adult storyline for a kids film. Everything about it, how clever it is, all the jokes, every single thing. It's so good. It It has so much going on, so much little details, such a clever, well-written film. I feel like if you haven't seen Incredibles and you don't understand why people are hyped about it, then I don't know. Go watch it seriously. If you watch any of these S tier films, I don't know what you're doing with your life. You really need to go out and watch some Pixar. Go watch some Pixar. That's my advice for life. Go watch some Pixar. Incredibles is the best film ever made, and you can't argue with me. So far, I can see Pixar has a pretty good track record so far. Only like one film that's kind of like eh. The other films have been pretty great. Then they released Cars, our first F tier. Cars were never that interesting to me, and the movie is boring as all hell. Lightning McQueen is not an interesting character enough to lead a film. It's really annoying and obnoxious. All the side characters aren't really that interesting or gripping. It feels when I saw it as a kid, I felt like this is like a film that's not trying to aim for the adult audience that the other films are going for. And the weaker characters and very kind of feels more like a baby film than a typical Pixar film. Usually they feel like they're like they feel very smart. This film felt kind of dumb. I never liked Cars as a kid. I still don't like it. I probably like it less now, oddly enough. I don't like the design. The world is weird. It doesn't make it much sense. The Cars world, just our world, but with cars. It's just kind of a weird concept that just didn't work. And the story's pretty plotting and doesn't go much at all. I don't know why John Lester is so passionate about cars, but apparently he is. Okay, so after that film, we have Ratatouille. Well, I meant Ratatouille. Ratatouille is another S tier. It's great. I like this film a lot more when I was younger, but not as much anymore. Ratatouille is just a great film. I think it's amazing. It's about a rat who cooks. You want where you want. Now, it has some good characters and great animation. Most of these films are great animation. This film is pretty interesting. It makes you very hungry. It's good. The characters are good, but not nothing really outstanding is the problem with it. I love watching it, but this is my lowest S tier film because I do quite like it a lot, and I do think it's kind of a little bit underrated. It's a good film, but not the best. It's my lower S tier. Actually, sorry, but it's going in A tier. It's not. I know. I think about it. Nothing really gripped me emotionally. So now we have Drowning, which a film I liked as a kid. And I think we all have to say the same thing. They may be a little bit too much human characters, but for the most part, the film is just Wally and Eve, who are some of the best Pixar characters, and they don't even talk really at all. And their interactions are great, and the animation's great. It's pretty gripping and a pretty emotional story. It makes you care more about robots than you do humans, which I don't really care for humans, so I guess that's okay. The humans are my biggest gripe with the film. I don't really like the design that much. They don't have that much scenes. Every scene for them kind of feels a little bit unnecessary. I think Wally's pretty good film doing the environmental message by not being overly handed with it. It's a environmental message that's very unique because a lot of the other ones say, "Oh, we're ruining the planet." This one says if we ruin the planet, we can bring it back, which I think is a much more interesting environmental message than the typical one. Anyway, Wally's great. I think a lot of people know that. I think it's kind of underrated now because not many people talk about it as much. But it's great. Here's Up, and Up is going into the C tier. It's one of the most overrated Pixar films. I'll say that for sure. The characters are kind of weaker. The first 10 minutes are more interesting than the rest of the film. The villain sucks. I didn't really care for the old man or the little kid. I like the dogs. Something about it just didn't really work for me. Some people like it a lot. I don't really understand it. It wasn't really that. Or in the first 10 minutes, it really wasn't emotional that really at all. It's kind of like the old man's just a grouch, really, and I don't know. It didn't really do anything that's spectacular to me. It's like there's a bird. Why do they care about the bird? I don't know. The little kid gets likes it because he's dumb, but why does the old man care about him all of a sudden? It doesn't make much. The fact that the character the character for the old man was, I forgot his name, was Fredrickson, I think. He kind of drastically changed his character from being like a grouch character to just liking them all of a sudden. It's just kind of like it didn't really work for me. I'll just say that. It's not bad, but it's nothing spectacular, and it's kind of forgettable at the same time. The villain sucks, by the way, like a lot. How is he still alive? Toy Story 3 is an F film. I hate this film. Psych. It's an S tier right there. If you know something, look at that. First three Toy Story films are right in the row because I think they're very equal in quality, and they go together so well that you can't keep separate them, in my opinion. This is the perfect finale to a franchise. Perfect ending. Doesn't need a sequel. Like, it ends there perfectly. Takes place, this genius concept of actually continuing the story years later and actually having the consequences of that. So it's cool to see these characters in more with better animation than the earlier Pixar films usually had. And it felt like a natural evolution and a very, very great ending. I felt like I was pretty old when I saw it, even though I was only 10 years old. But at that time, I thought, like, wow, this is great to see. This is great. It's a great ender, and I've seen it multiple times since. I like the more darker film version of it, and it's a pretty great film. I like it. I love it a lot. Perfect ending to Toy Story. We got Cars 2. Guess where I'm putting this, guys. Most people put it right there, but I'm putting it right here. Yes, I like Cars 2 more than the original Cars. A lot. Cars 2 is a dumb film, but because it's so dumb, it's way more enjoyable. Cars 2, even though it goes on for too long, I felt was more enjoyable. It was like, I laughed a lot more. Not at the jokes intentionally, because the jokes are bad, but how dumb the concept is. But at least you got some pretty good animation, I'll say, some interesting backgrounds. I was more entertained by Cars 2. It's so bad, but it has a room quality to it, where I could feel like I was able to enjoy watching it. It just, it just something about it. It's not technically good, but I got entertainment value of it. It's a really stupid movie, but it's so stupid that it's kind of hard to not enjoy it in a way. But that's how I felt about Cars 2. I mean, I'd rather watch it than be bored to death in Radiator Springs whole fucking movie, like the first one. Yeah, that's Cars 2. It's not good, don't get me wrong. Near as Bugs Life. Those D and F films aren't good, but it had an enjoyment quality that the other F tier movies just don't have. Alright. Brave. I hate Brave. Oh, it's so bad. Brave is a movie that's concept just makes no sense. It's just Brother Bear, but a DreamWorks film. The characters are incredibly weak and forgettable. The relationship between the mom and daughter is not strong at all. It doesn't make it's just so weak. And the bear stuff is not fun. Nothing happens in the film. It just goes trots on and on. Like I just wanted the whole time I was just wanting it to end. The characters are weak. They don't go on any interesting adventures like the trailer promised. They just don't do anything. They just kind of sit around and complain about stuff. What an interesting film, and you never buy the connection. Much like you don't really. I don't feel a connection between. Whenever I don't buy the connection between the characters or like the characters at all, it's when the Pixar film's bad. Each one of those, the C to D and F tier, kind of have those problems. So, Brave's pretty bad. It's pretty doesn't nothing. Nothing about the plot is interesting or grabs you at all. It's kind of like, oh my god, just fucking end. The bear concept is so bad. It's done worse than it was in Brother Bear, which I'm not a fan of Brother Bear, but I'd rather watch Brother Bear, which says a lot. Brother Bear, Brother Bear, Brother Bear. Brave. It was a brave film to make, but it didn't turn out being that good. Even though it somehow won the Oscar over Wreck-It Ralph. Get the hell out of here, Academy Awards. Here's Monster University. Now, I saw a review that says Monster University sucks as a college film, so I had to give it an F tier. Psych, Monster University is... where does it go again? Oh yeah, right there. I think it's on par with the original movie. Yes, I think Monster University is great. Is it a college movie? Yeah. Is it a kind of weird concept? Yeah. But when you see the movie, you're like, oh, this film's actually pretty good. I don't know why people don't like this film. One review I saw just said, I don't like college movies, even though they said the ending was good. Like, okay, the characters are like an early version than they are in Monsters, Inc., and the fact they've seen them grow into those characters we recognize is pretty interesting, and they actually do a pretty good job. They have a lot of funny jokes, some great animation, some pretty heartwarming stuff, and it really felt like an interesting expansion to the Monsters Inc. universe that you wouldn't expect to see, but it definitely added quite a bit. And I do like the growth between Sully and Mike, and seeing how they became friends in the first place. It's actually pretty good as a storyline, and I think it ties in pretty well with the first one. So yeah, screw you guys. I like Monsters University. Inside Out. We're going in. We're going out. We're going to go to this F tier because I don't like thoughts. I need to stop doing that joke. Inside Out is a great film. I'm putting it right there, just because I think Inside Out was a film when I saw when I was 16 years old, and it definitely brought back a lot of early Pixar memories I had. It was like, wow, we got our S tier movie after a while. We had a bunch of junk, like Brave and Cars 2 and Cars and Up. They stuck. They stink! Inside Out was a great film that decided to play with your emotions directly by literally having emotions that have emotions. It's kind of weird, but it worked. Some more great animation, some more clever storytelling. I felt like Pixar's back again, making clever and beautiful stories about things that you might have heard about before, but not, but in such an interesting way. This is actually a Pixar film I don't mind if it gets a sequel, because I feel like it could work. But who knows? I do like Inside Out quite a bit, and yeah, great film. The Good Dinosaur, Pixar's box office bomb, and it shows. This is a horrible film. Like, it's so boring. Like, not this is an annoying green dinosaur running around screaming. Ah! He's one of the worst, most annoying worst protagonists of any Pixar film by a landslide. He's annoying. He has a bad design. All the dinosaurs have bad designs in the film. The storyline is incredibly weak. He just needs to get back to his family, I guess, and he meets a dog who's a human. He's basically a dog, but he's a human. I guess I liked that character a little bit. Not really much, because he didn't really have much of a character. Just him just struggling because he sucks at everything. He's like no redeeming quality, just annoying, and he's an asshole. So yeah, it's nothing. It's a boring film. Backgrounds contrast drastically with the bad designs of the characters. Doesn't really do anything interesting. The villains sucked. It what everyone no one likes this film, so I don't know what am I gonna say. It looks better in stills than watching the film. Let's just say that. Finding Dory is finding its way to the B tier. I found Finding Dory a good but not great film. The ending was kind of weird and didn't really work for me. The chase scene is like, okay, I know some people like this film. I didn't really that much. It has some good animations. I liked it, but I didn't love it enough to put in A tier or yeah, but it's definitely a good film. It just like I think some of the concepts didn't really work for me. I'm struggling to think why right now, even though I saw it pretty recently, so I don't know why that is. But yeah, I found the film just to be not as interesting. I feel like it could have like I don't know. That was my high pitched voice, just because I like to annoy people. Yeah, it's Finding Dory. I don't have much to say about it. Apparently, I guess Finding Dory. Next we have I Lost the Race Because of You. That's the second movie. Cars 3 is the best Cars movie. It's better than Up 2. I was surprised. This Cars 3 kind of surprised me that I kind of liked it. Didn't love it. It was not B material. But high C. High C. I thought the more mature version of Cars worked, mostly because it relied heavily on being a Rocky film. Like, a lot. There's a lot of Rocky stuff. But, even though it was kind of I did like the animation's pretty good, even though the designs are still weak. The biggest problem with Cars 3 is that it's the third one, and the air films are not good at all, and just kind of drastic. This one uses the least of the side characters, who I did not like at all, so that's pretty good. The less Mater, the better. Even though I said Cars 2 I like better than the first one, and it has a lot more Mater, but you know what I mean. Cars 3 just felt like it felt like Pixar. It felt like an actual Pixar version of the Cars movie. I think the biggest drawback is the fact it's connected to the other films, and the designs are still weird to me. I did find it enjoyable, and I quite liked it. It worked a lot better. Lightning McQueen's not an asshole in this film. He's actually a likable character in the Cars 3. Yeah, I liked it. It's not the best film, but if I was gonna if I would show a kid a Cars movie, I'd just show him the third one. I feel like that's the one I'll be able to get through. We got Coco. Coco. I love this film. When I saw it, I watched I watched it immediately again as soon as I saw it, because that's how good it was. This film, there's two types of ways you watch it. The first time you watch it, and then the second time after you know what the twists are, and it still works both ways. It's so good. The fact that this is the first Pixar movie to implement music into the movie is great. It worked so well. The animation is stunning. The characters are great. Loved it, loved it, loved it, loved it. Go watch it. Incredibles 2. My most anticipated sequel of all time, since it's the sequel to my favorite film. And it's a B tier. Yeah, I liked it a lot when I first saw it because I was so hyped up. And then I saw it again and I was like, it's okay. It has a lot of problems, no, for sure, but it has a lot of good parts. It might even be an A tier if I think about it a little bit, or if I saw it. I don't know. The villain is easily the worst part. While the first film we had one of the best villains of all time, it has one of the weakest villains because the motivation's kind of weak and the villain doesn't really do that much when we see them on screen. It's not a pointless twist villain too. The first one didn't really have a twist villain, but you get to see more of the characters we liked. Other than the fact that Mr. Credible feels a little bit out of character, the rest of the characters feel exactly like as you remember them. So that's cool. It's just not as strong a film as I would hope it to be. Hopefully we get Incredibles 3 so we can have an actual official sequel. I didn't hate it, of course, but I'm really this is the only film. This is the only films I would like to see is Incredibles 3 and find Inside Out 2. I feel like they can finally do what we want with Incredibles with a third installment, and not the yeah. All right, we got 2 films left. I'm gonna talk about. I have a lot to say about this one film. I'm gonna do it. The most recent film, Onward, is the most forgettable film of all time, and it's a D tier. It's not good. I'll just say that it has an uninteresting world. The characters are kind of forgettable. It's a very forgettable film, but it's like the movie's you watch it and you forget about it. It's a forgettable film. The Tom Holland kid's annoying. He hates his brother for some reason. I don't know why. It's just kind of an awkward film that just didn't really work. It just didn't work for me. Sorry, Onward fans, all one of you. But Onward is a forgettable film that doesn't have much going on with it, and the world's not that interesting. They're just blue people. They have elf ears. That's really all the magical stuff about Onward really comes down to. There's pants. Okay. Okay. Toy Story 4. I made a video about this when I first saw it. I think that was quite a while ago. It was like in 2019. And if you saw that video, you might know a little bit how I feel about this film. But let's just say this is how I feel about it. And that's all you need to know. There's my list. Okay, Toy Story 4. I hate, 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 hate this film. I want to burn all copies of it. I don't want anybody to see it. I hate it with all my fibers. I go into the theaters and see what the hell is this? A woke Toy Story? A badly written characters are out of character. The animation just oh, look at this. The animation just doesn't work at all. They're trying to be realistic in some areas but failing in others. Not making an interesting world. Woody's just a dumbass. Buzz is retarded. Bo Peep's now a feminist icon for some reason. The side characters suck. All your favorite side characters from the other films are not even in it. They're just there in the background. It was not. All it did was ruin the characters, ruin the franchise, ruin the perfect ending for nothing. Horrible, 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 horrible film. Hate it, hate it, hate it, hate it, hate it. That's all I gotta say about this film. Anyway, what do you think about my list? Agree? Disagree? I already know people are gonna post their version in the comments because that's what they always do in these videos. But thank you for watching, and I love you.